Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the Fellow KGB, and thank you for following along today. If you're on Apple, Google, Spotify podcasts, I'd recommend checking us out on YouTube. The Fellow KGB is the channel name, and if you're on YouTube, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow this new channel, and the best way to do this is to see the screen shares that I do when I'm talking about this stuff. So. We're looking right now at the fantasyfellowship.com, the team pages. We're going to continue with our AFC North previews. If you haven't checked out the Ravens yet, or I do have the AFC East and the NFC East done, go ahead and check out those videos, podcasts. But we're going to hop into the Cincinnati Bengals here. And exciting team here. Exciting time to be a Bengal fan in general. We got the head coach back, Zach Taylor, year 2. Brian Callahan here. And I don't think he was with the team. Yep, he was with the team last year. So we got the word that we like in continuity in the offense. We got a new franchise quarterback, Joe Burrow, baby. So super excited for what the Bengals can do with him. Zach Taylor's kind of like a quarterback guru. So I think this offense is going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be a lot of attempts in the passing game, and hopefully it's going to open up everything else. So Joe Burrow, like, we don't even need to really talk about Ryan Finley or Jacob Dolagala. It's all about Joe Burrow here. He's going to get as much work as he can in his rookie year, and he's going to be maybe a quarterback 2 for us this year. He could maybe even flirt with quarterback 1 numbers if he's throwing a lot of touchdowns. So, I mean, Heisman Trophy winner, highly efficient in college, and with a pro level offense. He did play with a lot of ballers on this team, though. You got Clyde Edwards and what's the other guy? Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Thaddeus Moss. A lot of talent on that team. So we'll see if Joe Burrow can quickly transfer to the NFL after playing in that LSU NFL style offense. So it's really hard to talk about Joe Burrow's possible projections because it's an unknown. But if we look at what the team did last year as far as quarterback play, we see them attempted 615 total pass attempts in this offense. That's a lot of pass attempts for a rookie quarterback to make make a lot of learning moves, but he's going to get a lot of volume. I mean, this team threw for almost 4,000 yards last year. So immediately off my head, I'm almost giving Joe Burrow, 600 plus pass attempts and about 4,000 yards right off the bat. Where they did struggle last year as a quarterback unit was the passing touchdowns. We see only 18 passing touchdowns and then a lot of picks. So maybe Joe Burrow, he was pretty low on interceptions in college, so he seems to be able to keep that number low. Maybe keep it under 10 would be my best guess. I mean, the quarterbacks didn't really rush a lot here, so I'm thinking Joe Burrow might scramble a little bit more than regular. So I could see him boosting some of his fantasy floor with rushing attempts and maybe a touchdown or 2. So, I mean, sky's the limit for Joe Burrow. He gets A.J. Green. We'll get to the receivers in a second, but he gets A.J. Green back, so he's going to rely heavily on him, and they got some really good second, third, and fourth options on the team as well. But it's really all about Joe Burrow. I think in a 2-quarterback league, I'm super excited to grab him as my number 2 or number 3. The guy's really cheap in drafts, so he's one of the guys that's on my target list. I mean, you're probably going to maybe stream him in a 1-quarterback league at some point if you think he's got a good matchup. But, I mean, if you're not playing super flex, you got to try a league. I think that's the future of fantasy football is super flex leagues where you start the second quarterback. It really balances out and makes things a little bit more competitive, based on matchups. Usually you want 3 quarterbacks. So if I'm drafting 3 quarterbacks in a super flex league, I'm definitely looking at Joe Burrow as my second or third guy. So I love Joe Burrow. I love the team around him. We'll go on here to the running backs on the depth chart. We got Joe Mixon. Behind him is Giovanni Bernard back again. Rookie, second-year running backs Travion Williams and Rodney Anderson. And then we'll see if these guys can make the team. It's Samaje Perine, Jacques Patrick, and Devois Wally. But really, it's all about Joe Mixon here. I mean, this offensive line was bad last year, and we see Joe Mixon ball out. Let me highlight his stats. 278 rushing attempts, 1,137 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. That was for 4.1 yards per carry on a terrible offensive line. And they're only going to get better this year. We'll see that when we get to it at the end of the additions in the draft. But Mixon also added 35 catches for 45 targets, almost 300 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. So 8 touchdowns for Joe Mixon. I think that's his floor. We'll probably see him rush for 8 or 9 this year, I think. and then the ability to catch one or two. So he's not going to be heavily targeted in the passing game. Maybe 2-3 times a game makes sense to me, but he should get more. I mean, Giovanni Bernard's a good player, but I think Mixon deserves the ball in his hand a little bit more. So maybe we see Mixon come up to the 50s, maybe 60 targets this year. You see the target share was low, but the man's opportunity share is very high. He touches the ball maybe almost 33% of the time, 32, 33. And then the yard share, he's going to account for. I mean, this is last year, but he accounted for basically 1 out of every 4 yards was Joe Mixon yards last year with this team. So if I look here at my projections, I'm kind of projecting him for about the same. I kind of want to do more though. But yeah, Joe Mixon, he's a potential first round running back play that could be a top 5 running back this year. The team got better as a whole, so I don't see why not. We can't view Joe Mixon's 2019 as his floor. I believe he's in a contract year as well, so that's a lot of back and forth that we'll have to watch. But he did finish as the RB13 last year. Again, this is his floor. It wouldn't surprise me if, I mean, only 5 rushing touchdowns last year. We can maybe bounce a couple of these over, but he's probably going to be a double-digit touchdown candidate this year, and he can improve on all of his stats. So everything's pointing up for Joe Mixon. I mean, Giovanni Bernard's a third down guy. He's not going to wrestle a lot of carries here. I mean, the amount of rushing attempts that he had, 278 out of 385, is a very high rate. So they're going to give him the ball a ton. So Joe Mixon's a potential first-round pick for me. If you get him in the second, that's fantastic. You're going to love that pick. So, and then, yeah, just keep an eye on this Travion Williams and Rodney Anderson battle in preseason. If anything happens to Mixon, these guys would step ahead of Gio and be the primary running back, and then Gio would get more work as a receiver. So, but again, yeah, Joe Mixon and Bernard are going to be the guys that, the offense flows through, but it's all about Mixon. And I guess the most exciting part about this team is the receiver group. They have 5 pretty awesome receivers with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, rookie T. Higgins, Auden Tate, and John Ross. Like, this might be top to bottom one of the best starting, group of receivers, 1 through 5. Wow. What's cool is they got a little bit of everybody, body styles and things that they do well. But A.J. Green, hopefully he can stay healthy this year. He's going to be, a wide receiver 3 floor with upside as a wide receiver 2, I believe. Tyler Boyd, going to be a lot of targets and receptions as well. He's got wide receiver 3 upside plus. But I guess the fun parts are T. Higgins, Auden Tate, and John Ross. These are complementary guys. Higgins is a rookie. We'll see if he can mesh well with Joe Burrow and get the offense down right away. But Auden Tate, we saw Auden Tate ball out last year with some deep ball stuff, and then John Ross, of course, with the deep ball and the speed. Last year we see A.J. Green was down, so Tyler Boyd got a ton of targets. But Auden Tate last year, he only caught 1 touchdown, but he was, catching some deep plays for almost 600 yards, 40 catches. We do have a slot receiver, Alex Erickson. I would imagine his numbers get pushed down a little bit. And if John Ross can stay healthy, 18 yards a catch. Joe Burrow's got a good deep ball. The things could be really good for John Ross. But I guess from a fantasy perspective, we're going to want to target A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd. From a dynasty perspective, you still love Higgins, you still love Tate, and you still like Ross at least, because who knows what A.J. Green's going to do in a year or two. So potentially T. Higgins has the ability to become the wide receiver 1 for this team. So I don't think we're going to really want to use him for redraft leagues this year, but he's definitely an eye to keep an eye on in the preseason and see how much noise he's making. But yeah, what a starting unit here for the Bengals. Really, really nice group to help a rookie quarterback in a pass-friendly offense. So guys trying to make the team: Alex Erickson, Stanley Morgan Jr., Mike Thomas, DeMarcus Lodge, Trenton Irwin, Damian Willis, and Scotty Washington. No one really sticks out more than the other to me. Alex Erickson will probably make the team because he's been there for a while and that he knows the offense now. And Stanley Morgan's a year 2 receiver. Those would be the 2 guys that I would say would finish the depth chart for receivers. Moving on to tight ends, there's not a lot of meat on the bone here. They drafted Drew Sample in the 2nd round, who's a blocking tight end. And then CJ Uzama is still around as the main receiving weapon. They got some guys here that'll make the team with Sathan Carter, Mason Schreck, maybe Moritz Ringer makes the team, Mitchell Wilcox and Jordan Franks. But Tyler Eifert's gone, man. So We see Eifert last year had 63 targets, 43 catches, and a little over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. CJ Uzama was behind him with 40 targets and 27 catches. So Uzama is going to get more put on his plate. And then I think, just by law of subtraction, Drew Sample's going to get a boost in targets here. But as a whole, the tight end groups had 113 targets and 77 receptions. So that's going to get divided up between Uzama and Sample. I don't really know. The one thing about Drew Sample is he reminds me of Will Dissly a little bit. Will Dissly in Seattle. Dissly was primarily thought of as a really good blocking tight end, and then all of a sudden the dude just blossomed and became this really good receiving option. He just can't stay healthy. But the thing with Uzama and Sample, they're going to be on the field a lot together, I think, and we'll see how it gets divided up. But there's a lot of targets to go around. I just don't know if we're going to be interested for fantasy. It's all about the receivers. It's all about Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow maybe being he's got, it wouldn't surprise me if he's a top 15 quarterback, fringe top 12. So super exciting. And I think the thing that I like the most is this team, they're going to have the volume. They ran 1,000 plays last year. I'm expecting them to run a little bit more because they're going to be better all around on both sides of the ball. And then here, let's just take a look here. We're back on the team pages. Again, Joe Burrow, first overall pick. T. Higgins, first pick of the second round. So you love that. They're going to, T. Higgins in a dynasty league is exciting, if AJ Green decides to move on soon. But I guess the rest of the draft was heavily defense. They drafted 3 linebackers, an edge rusher, and an offensive guard. So this defense is going to get some help. And they also did some good stuff here in the offseason, adding Trey Waynes, cornerback. Defensive tackle DJ Reader was the big spend. They did add safety Von Bell, and then they added another corner, Mackenzie Alexander. So, not too much help here with the offensive line, which is a bit concerning. But I do believe that their first round pick last year got hurt, and now he's going to be back. So that's going to help them quite a bit. Can't see offensive line here. Let's quick here go to our lads. This is one of my favorite depth chart websites here. They do a pretty good job of keeping it updated. So yeah, their starting left tackle last year, first round pick Jonah Williams missed this season. So that's going to make them better just right away with the left tackle being there. Bobby Hart's decent. They got a couple interior guys that they can have compete here for starting spots. So the offensive line doesn't concern me as much as it did last year. It should be a little bit better. Enough for Joe Mixon to be maybe a top 10, top 5 pick or top 5 running back. So a lot to like with Cincinnati. Super exciting time to be a Cincinnati Bengal fan. I know the division's tough as hell, but everything's pointed up here. I like Zach Taylor. I like pairing him with Joe Burrow. You got T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. The big one is if Mixon resigns with the Cincinnati Bengals. If he doesn't, I'm looking at Travion Williams or Rodney Anderson, maybe being a hold in Dynasty. But yeah, a lot of questions there behind Mixon if he leaves. So I don't know. That's going to do it today for the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to leave me a comment, just say hello. Let me know if you like anything that I'm doing here. And don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching or listening on Apple and Spotify, Google, please leave us a review, a comment, a rating, anything that helps grow the channel, grow the Fantasy Fellowship. So check out I'm working on the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers next, but go ahead and check out the AFC East, NFC East, and the Ravens video that I got up already. So thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.